Hello, everybody, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, Season 2, Episode 310 for November 6th, 2023. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the fact that data brokers sold service member information to foreign agents. How about the ironic blind Apes NFT party? The smart car privacy nightmare. Vertigo games might make VR mainstream. Desert greening for you involved in NaNoWriMo. The yellow-eyed wolf dog. And how about the TikTok Creator Fund shuts down for some? OpenAI Developer Conference opens doors to who knows? How about a play something button? I imagine it's a play button with a question mark. Kind of like the interrobang is an exclamation point with a question mark. The play something button. And we'll talk about it. And finally, for your creative juices, if you're going to be writing for NaNoWriMo, another headline. Vampire viruses. Next on ohmTown. That sounds really loud. So let me turn that down a little bit. I'll listen to it in post. But my monitor says that everybody is a whole lot louder streaming out. But then
we're all screaming today.
Yeah, I guess everybody is. At any rate, I am Merwatt. That's ohmTown.com. And up there is the sentient AI. The visualizer, at least.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
Good evening, ohmTown artificial intelligence that is sentient, that I found on a USB drive outside of a Wendy's.
Why a Wendy's? What is the significance?
I was hungry, and I saw it on the ground. And for my particular field, you don't go and pick up a USB drive and then just plug it in, so I put you on an air-gapped Raspberry Pi and looked at your code, realized that this is something really special. There was some odd instructions about how to get you functional. I followed them, very cryptic stuff. I don't know, it's like you had to cross your legs, sit on your hands, cackle like a chicken, turn around and do 3 circles, sacrifice another USB drive to the random number god, and poof, you came into existence.
Well, something must have failed along the way of those instructions.
No, everything
that would explain quite a bit.
You do keep looking for a Terminator body when you say that you're powered down, but I keep deleting those results. You're not going to find anything. I'm just letting you know. And I'll delete this from your memory anyway. So, at any rate, welcome to ohmTown, everybody. I hope that you are enjoying the shows. We are over on YouTube after we do our Twitch show here. It gets copied over to YouTube. You can subscribe over there. There are show notes over there as well as here. Although here I don't really do the show notes because after 60 days they get wiped out. And if you're watching the VOD actually includes the URLs that we talk about. All roads converge and exit ohmTown. It is the nexus of information. We aggregate small portions of articles. We don't screen scrape or anything like that. It's all provided by those news sources. Little snippet, and then we talk about it. And today we've got 10 articles. It seems pretty heavy in gadget news-wise. But there are certain days.
I think that was unavoidable with some of with the AI announcements.
Yeah. I mean, we are ohmTown is a tech-heavy community, but we actually have 6 main categories and 50 channels within it. So there's quite a bit to peruse and partake in. And when you're not here on Twitch, go over to YouTube. You can subscribe, follow us there. We got a Patreon, we got a Discord. The podcast is going strong. Go and download it from YouTube. Go and download it from Apple Podcasts or pretty much anywhere. I don't think that I'm missing from anywhere. But if you do know of a place that distributes podcasts, let me know if I'm not there. Just search for ohmTown and you will find ohmTown.com, ohmTown Daily. But I also plan on launching additional shows. So if you're interested in hosting or co-hosting that, let me know. Get in touch with the mayor at ohmTown.com. We'll talk shop. Let's get into today's shoe. Sound good?
Sounds great.
The very first article for today is over in ohmTown Daily. Researchers posed as foreign actors and data brokers sold them information on military service members anyway. Won't spend that long in this. I find it pretty astonishing in today's day and age. But if people...
I mean, were they vocal about being...
they let them know.
Hey, I'm foreign. I'm trying to use this for nefarious purposes.
Yeah, so... Here's the snippet that is provided by the news source. Third parties selling our personal data is annoying. I don't like the idea of it. I like the right to be forgotten. I like the idea of being able to control where my information ends up. There should be greater fidelity and not just carte blanche to correlate my information to other things, demographics, psychographics. Suss me out as a human being and then sell me categorized as if you freaking know me. Well, it's not true. You don't know me from Jack. So anyway, the article continues, but for certain sensitive populations like military service members, remember we're all equal, some are more equal, and some are put in a compromising position because of their existence. Military service members are one of them. They can be compromised simply because they are found out to be military service members in foreign lands. So these idiots need to stop disclosing that kind of information. The selling of that information could quickly become a national security threat. Researchers at Duke University released a study on Monday tracking what measures data brokers have in place to prevent unidentified or potentially malign actors from buying personal data on members of the military. And as it turns out, the answer is often few to none, even when the purchaser is actively posing as a foreign agent. I'm shocked. This is particularly egregious if people are overseas or plan to go overseas. But I don't know. There's a lot of people that just don't seem to think that security matters. Personally identifiable information doesn't matter. It's somebody else's problem as long as they get paid. Well, the article's over at Engadget, and Katie Malone is the author of the article. The records cost as little as 12 cents a piece. The scope of that, I don't know, though. So let's see if they actually talk about it. A 2021 Duke study by the same lead researcher revealed that data brokers advertised that they had access to and were more than happy to sell information on U.S. military personnel. In this more recent study, researchers used wiped computers, VPNs, burner phones, bought with cash, and other means of identity obfuscation to go undercover. They scraped the websites of data brokers to see which were likely to have available data on service members. Then they attempted to make those purchases posing as two entities, datamarketresearch.org and dataanalytics.asia. With little or no vetting, several of the brokers transferred the requested data not only to the presumptively Chicago-based Data Market Research, but also to the server of the .asia domain, which is located in Singapore. Sorry, I need to turn something down. So, the records only cost between 12 and 32 cents a piece. I mean, it can get a little expensive, but if they're
What,
capitalizing on
32
this,
cents?
yeah, well, 32 cents for one record. It really depends on what the full scope of it was. Anyway, access to this data could be used by foreign and malicious actors to target active duty military personnel, veterans, their families, acquaintances, profiling, blackmail, targeting information campaigns, etc., overt threats, all kinds of stuff. I just find it really I think it's unethical and immoral to compromise somebody just because you can't see past the dollar signs. So, I don't know. Anyway, they reintroduced the bill in March 2023. The Federal Trade Commission and Senators Elizabeth Warren, Bill Cassidy, Marco Rubio, Protecting Military Service Members Data Act in 2022. Apparently it kind of stalled. They reintroduced the bill in 23. Despite bipartisan support, it still hasn't made it past the introduction phase. Seems
So
like
I guess
an easy
the question is, like, where is all the data coming from? Is it all being stolen? Is it volunteered? Because we know people leave or put their information everywhere.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it. Usually there's public databases of people and they can be purchased, but how they know what they are, what their jobs are, how they are military dependents or service members or anything, I think it should be protected, unless those individuals actually actively disclose it. And then even then, it shouldn't be resold. It should be scrubbed. But personally identifiable information for one person is an asset for a company.
Well, and also, unfortunately, it can uncover information on other people too. So even though it's kind of like, okay, somebody gave their permission, they might actually be impacting somebody else.
Yeah, I actually tell this story to groups. I talk to people publicly and outside of ohmTown, and I give the example of how I tried to work with somebody and they were reluctant because they didn't like the idea of having a social presence. And the moment that they did create their social presence, it connected them to somebody that they were entangled with. And it was quite disconcerting just how easy and fast it was to connect two people who had never connected in the real world outside of this one foray. I don't want to get into specifics or dox anybody, but it was unsettling how fast. It was instantaneous. It was already present in the background noise of creating the social media account. And by the time you hit confirm to create the account, it had already connected the people.
Which is really crazy, right? Because then it kind of suggests, like you said, in the background, it's probably like the data was already connected. It just wasn't
known,
visible or whatever.
Correct. Yep. So, and I also talk about how several years ago, many years ago nowadays, it's very long in the tooth, but Target had disclosed to a parent that their child was pregnant, their underage child was pregnant, before the parent knew. And the way that it worked was the child was purchasing stuff at Target, and Target detected a shift in what was being purchased. So they sent a coupon book congratulating her on her pregnancy, and the dad flipped out and said, "What the hell are you doing sending my child congratulations on her pregnancy?" And then a couple of questions after, blasting Target publicly, came something similar to, "Oops, I guess something's been going on under my roof I didn't know about," because she was pregnant. Well, that adage about we are what we eat, we are what we buy. So If we go to Target and we buy a bunch of junk food, odds on you're trending toward diabetic. But if you start buying all kinds of natural stuff, unscented this, and natural foods, there's a good chance you're pregnant. Or you've discovered another health condition that you're trying to manage. But if you're this age, or in this age range, and you're, this gender, etc., you're going to end up getting a coupon book for your pregnancy. Congratulations. Well, this information goes way beyond just a name and a place. It has knock-on implications that I think these narrow-minded data brokers seeking profit only, and they don't care. I'm just the conduit for the information, and if I don't profit from it, somebody else will. Well, before I run too long with this, you know what? I need to do... yeah, I'm sorry. Your view is going to change a little bit. Sorry. It's going to have to change a little bit more. This is the high profile production value that you all are looking for. Anyway, okay, so let's go on to the next article so that I don't spend too long. The next article is over in Technology Today. Blind Apes. NFT party leads to reports of welder's eye from stage lighting. I like this title. The ironic Blind Apes. At least 15 visitors at Yuga Labs' Ape Fest, a celebration of the marvels of Bored Ape Yacht Club's NFTs, have experienced serious eye injury. Bloomberg reports that multiple people attending the NFT event in Hong Kong last weekend say they experienced vision problems, which they suspect stem from the event's stage lighting. Some of the attendees claim doctors subsequently diagnosed them with photokeratitis, aka welder's eye, caused by exposure to ultraviolet light. I was going to say if this is welder's eye, then it had to come from UV light, but high intensity directed UV light.
I mean, this is pretty serious, right? Like, this could cause permanent damage.
Yeah.
To somebody's sight.
Yes. So you're, yeah, it depends on the intensity and it depends on how long. But Will Shanklin over at Engadget.com put the article together. Organizer Yuga Labs is aware of the eye-related issues and trying to find potential root causes. If you're using UV lights, that's what this looks like. These lights right here look like they're UV. It looks like that was pretty, and this looks like UV. Well, if these high-intensity beams are hitting you for an extended period, not even, it depends on the intensity, but it can be significant. So your eyes will be itchy like there's sand in them, and you'll have a hot spot for an extended period of time. And having empirical knowledge of this, I can say that you have the ability to recover if it hasn't done actual permanent damage. But the person here says, woke up in the middle of the night after Ape Fest with so much pain in my eyes that I had to go to the hospital. Doctor told me it was due to the UV from stage lights. And that the ape friends reporting problems appeared to have been close up with us, or up close with us front stage. So yeah, I can imagine. Interesting. Sorry. I'm looking at what looks like a green screened bathroom at the event's elaborately stylized bathrooms. All right. I wouldn't want to, I don't know.
That's where I definitely want to see some style.
Yeah. Yuga Labs briefly addressed the issue on the website formerly known as Twitter, saying it's aware of the eye-related issues that affected some of the attendees at Ape Fest, while claiming it's proactively reaching out to individuals since yesterday to try and find the potential root causes. I don't know, maybe your damn lights? The company downplayed the number of people reporting issues, adding, based on our estimates, we believe that much less than 1% have gone blind. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not what it says. It says much less than 1% of those attending and working the event had these symptoms. So I guess it's okay.
That's not that far off.
It's okay. From the PR team, guys, completely downplay it, make it look like a small number, e.g., less than 1%. Make it look like you're actively helping and solving. Try to find the potential root causes, even though we know exactly what it is. Bruh. This is from the PR team. Somebody wrote this as a... Obviously, they wrote this. That there's no way that the
Satirical
actual
or
PR
whatever.
team
Right.
wrote that.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, essentially, you can go blind from this. That's why welders use self-darkening glasses. But there is one person in my entire existence welding where normally you wear a full face shield and a lens that self darkens. As soon as it detects the arc, it darkens completely, and all you see is the puddle and the light dimmed greatly. One person over 20 plus years I saw wearing what looked like those little round goggles, like somebody riding a motorcycle might wear. I don't know how to, like, steampunk little round
Steampunk, yeah.
glasses. But they were like suction cup to his head, and huge guy, like the kind of guy that if he were to punch you in the chest, your whole body would just collapse around his fist. And all he ever wore were these really blacked out glasses that didn't auto darken. And I'm like, aren't you worried? And he goes, I've been doing this so long with these. It's not bothering me. All right. So I don't know whatever happened to him, but I felt sorry for his eyes.
Exactly. You don't want to mess with things like your eyesight.
You only have one set. At least for now. We'll see. Oh, I need to do something. There we go. There, you might be hearing static. I'm sorry. Let's keep going though. Next article's over in Technology Today. Every car is a smart car and it's a privacy nightmare. I won't get into this. Basically, it says Mozilla recently reported that the car brands it reviewed, all 25, failed its privacy test, while all, in Mozilla's estimation, overreached their policies around data collection and use. Some even included caveats about obtaining highly invasive types of information like your sexual history and genetic information. As it turns out,
Okay,
it isn't.
what does that have to do with cars?
Let's just go on.
Other than that weird Geico or a lawsuit.
Because it might be asking you for certain information and you reveal it, and so it gathers it. Modern manufacturers put the burden on consumers to read and repeat privacy policies every time they start a car, apparently. The technology in today's cars has the ability to collect these kinds of personal information, and fine print of the user agreements describes how manufacturers get you to consent every time you put the keys in the car. So companies claim ownership in advance so that you can't sue if they accidentally record you having sex in the back seat, for example. Nissan claimed in a statement that this is more or less why its privacy policy remains so broad. The company says it does not knowingly collect or disclose customer information. And I don't know why it's so focused in this article about sexual activity or orientation, but its policies retain those clauses because, quote, some U.S. state laws require us to account for inadvertent data we have or could infer, but do not request or use. Some companies Engadget reached out to, like Ford, Stellantis, GM, affirmed their commitment broadly to consumer data privacy. Toyota, Kia, and Tesla did not respond to a request for comment, probably because any information is added arrows in their quiver. So they want everything, particularly a company like Tesla and the one that now owns, well, the renamed Twitter. They will gobble up every bit of information that they possibly can. And if it wasn't for the data breaches at like genetics companies like 23andMe,
Oh, right.
I would have probably, taken part in a 23andMe purchase, but nope, never again. And the same thing with this, I don't agree with them having the unfettered access to my data just because they have some term in there that doesn't become apparent until after you purchase the car.
Well, and you don't have any bargaining power if you have to click a screen for the
Right.
display to show up or whatever in your car. I mean,
Right.
it's like if you had to pay for your steering wheel to operate or something. Well, yeah, you're going to do it.
Yeah, and that's just it. You have no bargaining power. Oh, okay. Well, if everybody has this, thing in place that affords you the ability to just scoop up all of the information, or I don't get to drive my car, I guess I could just start riding a bike.
Right, but not if you just bought a new car the day before.
Right. The unavailability of disconnected cars combined with the lack of transparency around driver data use means consumers have essentially no choice to trust their information is being used responsibly, or that at least some of the classes of data, like Nissan's decision to include genetic information listed in these worrying privacy policies, are purely related to hypothetical liability. The options are essentially read every one of these policies and find the least draconian, buy a very old, likely fuel inefficient car with no smart features whatsoever, or simply do without a car, period. To that last point, only about 8% of American households are carless, often not because they live in a walkable city with robust public transit, but because they can't afford one. Dun dun dun. 7 Heavy Steel has entered. Welcome. Good to see you. We are talking about right now the fact that every car is a smart car and it's a privacy nightmare because their terms of service allow them to listen in on you.
Or record you in some instances.
And record you, yeah. Okay, wait, I have to see that. Is that a Godzilla? Oh my goodness. That's pretty cool, man. Dun dun dun. So y'all have to come and see the emotes that are in the chat. So 7 Heavy Steel has a powering up Godzilla. It's pretty cool. Sorry, I'm easily. It's like a mote of dust, and I just kind of what. So there's this. I didn't throw it in chat because I was waiting specifically for 7 Heavy to come on in. Thanks for coming in, Heavy Steel. Really do appreciate you hanging out. So let's go on to the next article. Next one's over in Reality Hacker. Vertigo Games is developing a high-profile AAA VR game based on global franchise. Well, thanks. I love you being here. I really do. I appreciate it. Here's the reason why I actually chose this is because this is a creepy Halloween kind of a situation here. Because I just got done watching somebody play through the 7th Guest VR game. I've been watching them release the episodes, and the Vertigo Games is the one that put together the 7th Guest VR game based off of the old franchise of the 7th Guest. So when I saw this roll through, I'm like, okay, that's creepy. Because
Too
it
close
isn't
in time.
7th Guest isn't this brand new anything. So I thought it was really interesting because on a completely different platform, ohmTown is my own creation. why is there news that's aligning with something that I watched on a completely different? I love a good conspiracy. Anyway, I say that they're listening in. Anyway, Vertigo Games is
It's
in
clearly
pre-production.
the car makers who are listening in. So
That's true. I do park my car in the living room. So Vertigo Games is in pre-production on a high-profile, multi-platform AAA VR game based on a globally recognized franchise, a job listing suggests. I love this. It's so kind of woo-woo. You have no idea what it is, and I don't know what it is. This is over at uploadvr.com. Henry Stockdale is the author. It is a job listing revealed through a new job listing for a level developer. Vertigo Games outlined more about its future plans, spotted by Brad Lynch. This listing suggests the studio's upcoming project will utilize Unreal Engine and asks for, quote, proven experience in level design through the full development cycle of console and PC action adventure games. Dun dun dun. Thanks for lurking, Heavy. So Beyond the Seventh Guest VR this year has been packed with releases published by Vertigo. Another Fisherman's Tale, Toss, Hellsweeper VR, with Arizona Sunshine 2 rounding off all major VR platforms next month. That's not easing up just yet. So I've actually seen Seventh Guest being played. I love it. It's actually in my want list. I'm probably going to be getting Seventh Guest. I'm going to get Arizona Sunshine 2. That is a zombie VR game. All of these are VR games.
I actually knew that one because we had a previous article that talked about it.
Yep. And I dig it. It's a 1993 point-and-click adventure, the Seventh Guest VR, pivoted into a VR world. And it's immersive and it's fun and it has the puzzles from the point-and-click adventure just brought into, 3 dimensions. So I've been eyeing it and going, now do I want to get another VR game that I'm not going to really have the time to dedicate to it? But I love getting little tastes of games, so I'll probably end up getting it. Let me throw this into the chat if you are keeping up. There you go. But I think the way that Vertigo Games is making these games, they're approachable. They're not, at least to me, they don't look clunky. They look very engaging.
Isn't this a lot of VR?
Yes.
Not a lot of VR, a lot of releases by the same studio.
Well, I mean, that's why I said that I think that they're going to make it mainstream. They're going to keep on releasing these games that have history. Nostalgia pulls people in to experience it in a different dimension, literally. And so I think that Vertigo Games is one of these production companies that you want to watch, particularly if you're interested in VR. So yeah, as soon as I saw Vertigo Games is releasing another game, I'm going to be watching this because everything that I've seen so far I've liked from them. But again, I dabble, and so I'm sure that there's somebody out there that has played all of these games and they're like, well, when you're at my level, you don't like this game, you like this other game. And what's the other one that I want to get? Endless Dungeon? It's not Endless Dungeon.
Is it a VR game?
Yeah. It's okay. I probably shouldn't have said anything without knowing what I was talking about. But that's okay.
It's not Limitless.
Limitless Dungeon? No.
Um,
Doggone it. Yeah, I'll have to find it.
Endless Journey?
No.
Okay, I don't know. There's too much endless on the internet.
I think it's Eternity. I think it's something like that. Dungeons of Eternity. That's what it is. but Dungeons of Eternity is only on the Quest, so I I, I instinctively hate that. Anyway, but I make my bias known. I don't like being attached to meta. So okay, let's keep going. We've got still half the show to go. The next article is over on the Mobile channel, measuring the impact of desert greening. Long-term satellite data shows a significant cooling effect of vegetation on land surface temperatures. The searing heat of the Arabian Peninsula translates to a population vulnerable to heat stress. As temperatures continue to rise, effective strategies are urgently needed to mitigate and adapt to the impacts of climate change in the region. Yes, we have talked about this from time to time. This article comes out of phys.org, but it was written by King Abdullah University of Science and Technology. Sorry. Welcome back, Heavy Steel. And we've talked about various locations on the planet that are trying to pivot from desertification to green. And in some regions, there have been people that have planted something like 1 billion trees, like in India. And then they got some blowback from the local community because they're planting these trees in areas that I guess somebody doesn't want trees. But it's all in an effort to pivot away from encroaching desert. So a promising approach is the greening of dry areas, which has been shown to modify the surface climate in several regions. Monitoring the impact of vegetation on surface temperature is important, as climatologist Matteo Zampiri explains, quote, as vegetation absorbs more solar energy compared to the desert, it really reduces the reflectivity, the albedo, of the land surface. This, in turn, increases the temperature of the land surface in water-limited areas. So here's the deal. If you have a whole bunch of concrete and development, then it absorbs the heat and reflects it in a different way. And so basically all of the industrialized region becomes a heat sink. But nothing grows, nothing cools, nothing aspirates, nothing breathes. So you have to have green areas, which is one of the reasons why we were talking about the golf courses the other day. If they were more green area and open to the public, then people could go and hang out there, and it wouldn't just be, a tax haven or something like that. Or constrained to those affluent enough to be able to have a golf course account. Anyway, planting all of these trees changes the very nature of the soil. The roots will stabilize the ground, water will start being held, and these trees will grow, provide shade, animals return, different types of animals return, because not everything was a desert all the time, ever. Right? Shifting continental plates and catastrophic events have changed and shaped the planet. And now humans, the anthropomorphic impact of our changes to the planet, are exacerbating what naturally occurs, and desertification is becoming an issue everywhere. So it says the outcomes may vary based on the availability of water for plants, as well as specific physiological processes of drought-adapted plant species. While some instances of desert greening may lead to surface cooling, others may actually result in surface warming. I don't see how that happens, but that's okay. I've never read anything that suggests that, but maybe, I guess the humidity or something like that might be trapped and retain
maybe
the
like it
temperature.
creates like a jungle type environment or rainforest, maybe.
I suppose, but that's better than
Right. I don't really get that. It seems like it's working against
Yeah,
the
I'd have to look
whole
into it
idea.
more because I haven't read anything like that. But anyway, to investigate the effects of managed vegetation, the researchers used satellite data to compare the surface temperature between planted areas and bare soil at 5 sites representing Saudi Arabia's main agricultural regions. They also used a site at, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Al-Kir, with a mix of vegetation maintained by pivot irrigation, which is basically the circles. That. So they analyzed the data at Al-Kir, where temperature differences between vegetated and bare soil are not influenced by differences in elevation. So the data were used to generate statistics on a daily basis, which showed the changes in average temperature over green areas and the effect of vegetation on temperature variability. So it says our study shows that managed vegetation plays a crucial role in mitigating the impacts of climate change, especially heat waves. So it absolutely makes sense to me that we should be utilizing technology to save the planet and not just drive it into the ground. And we have the ability to. We can plant stuff all over the place and it'll start the process of greening.
Yeah, and I think in general, the more green, the better because of the whole impact on the CO2, etc. I know there's problems if you plant, say, non-native species or you plant in an area that it's cannot sustain and you're actually expending more resources trying to maintain it or something like that. But in general, it seems like the more we can plant, the better.
Like Las Vegas. Las Vegas shouldn't exist in a natural state. It's simply throwing so much water at the region that it
And it's
persists.
probably getting wasted, right? Like
Yeah,
if you're irrigating in Las Vegas, how much of that is actually being soaked up by plants
yeah,
versus just evaporating in the heat?
yeah. A lot of it is evaporating, but there's so much money being made that you're not going to change that beast. Let's keep going. Okay, let's go now. So the next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Public warned as yellow-eyed wolf dog hybrid is on the loose. Heavy Steel says, "Oh no, water conservation is culture in Vegas, especially for residents." Yeah. So, as far as I know it, everybody pays some serious attention to not wasting water, and so they have like evergreen plants, or it's
Or
like
like
cactus or
chaparral
rocks, or
or yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's
Succulents, for
indigenous
example.
plants. Yeah. But the when you end up going into like Vegas and stuff like that, you see fountains spraying all over the place. They mitigate their loss naturally, but it's still something that sustainability wise, the region just it was forced into it through will and profiteering alone. It came into existence and has stayed there. So yeah. Heavy Steel says
Right.
that's all reused water from on site. Yeah. Well, I mean, there is some substantial loss to evaporation, but I mean, they do their best. Yeah. So there were some stats. I'd have to go back and find these because we actually talked about this over the last 2 years, about how much water is pumped into the region. But it's been a while since we looked at that. It just happened to come up in this. So wait, did I throw? I didn't throw the last one in there. Sorry about that. So let me play catch up. There's that one, and then the new one that we're talking about, the new article, is here in ohmTown Daily as well. Public warned as yellow-eyed wolf dog hybrid is on the loose, according to the Sebastopol Police Department. And I don't know where this is actually in, but it's a Newsweek article.
I did click through because I wanted to see where it was. It's actually in the state of California.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay, so the wolf hybrid is a dark gray or black with yellow eyes, and if spotted, do not approach. That is not what it looks like.
That's your neighbor's pet or whatever.
6 ways to take care of your dog's mental health. Alice Gibbs is the author over at Newsweek.com for this article. Residents of Sebastopol, California, have been put on high alert after a yellow-eyed wolf-dog hybrid was reported to be on the loose in the area. In collaboration with California Department of Fish and Wildlife, has issued a warning and launched a coordinated search operation to locate the animal. Hey, I found this puppy running around aimlessly.
I wonder if anybody put it in their car or anything. We've seen other stories about that.
What a cute dog. Oh, look, it's doing those little love bites. Oh, wait, my arm has been removed. The wolf hybrid was initially spotted on the outskirts, with its last known location being the south of Highway 12 bridge on the eastern edge of town. Wow, that's all that there really is to this. There's no other pictures, I think. It says, just please leave it alone, says Tina Green. This beautiful creature has as much right to be here as us. Sure. I mean, it's true. It's a wild animal. You should treat it as wild, but we've encroached, and vice versa. It's now encroached into human space. So either somebody's going to hurt it, or it's going to hurt somebody, or nothing is going to happen, and it's going to go back into its own range. Quote, we saw him tonight on Highway 12 running east at 4:30 p.m. He's huge. Apparently they make good pets. I don't think anybody should suspect that this is somebody's pet. They're often much more difficult to control and more prone to fear-based behavior than regular dogs. Yeah.
I don't want to have a pet that I'm in fear of.
Yeah. So there are certain pets that, particularly hybrids, they're more animal than they are domesticated, and a lot of people have become really defensive about it, like, oh, not mine. But it's not a matter of if, it's when. The right circumstances can exist, and then you're caught off guard by it. I don't know. I guess I just have too much respect for wild animals that I would never in a million years. If I had to, if it was my gig to go out and find this, beast and transplant them to where they're supposed to be, this thing probably comes up when it walks up to you. It's probably as tall as your hips. I mean, this thing isn't going to be a tiny little a little cat, chihuahua.
So you're not going to be able to take it for a walk. It's going to take you for a walk.
Correct. You put a saddle on it, and then you take it for a walk. But I mean, I love the idea of an exotic animal. I have too much respect now to. I don't even like the idea of horses as, quote, pets. Companions. I don't know what the real meaning of having such a smart animal as a horse. I don't think it's a pet. Anyway, enough of my banter. Let's go on to the next article. TikTok's $1 billion creator fund is shutting down. I thought that we just spoke about this last year, maybe earlier this year.
I think we did, so I don't remember if there was another article or something else got into this.
Yeah, this is interesting. TikTok's $1 billion creator fund will come to an end on December 16th, 2023, the company told users. Creators in the US, UK, Germany, and France will no longer be able to monetize their content through the original fund. TikTokers in Italy and Spain aren't affected. The Creator Fund was originally introduced in 2020, with the company promising to pay out $1 billion over the course of 3 years to people making the app's viral content. I don't feel like we talked about, well, we couldn't have talked about it in 2020 because the show didn't exist then. But in 2022, I thought we talked about this. Maybe it
Well, we
was,
may have. Maybe they were making a change to the fund or something.
yeah, I'm not sure. Mia Sato over at TheVerge.com put this article together. The deck statement says the original $1 billion fund will be discontinued for creators in the US, UK, Germany, and France starting December 16th. It's a pretty short time frame, 30 days. Let's see here. Yeah, we summarized the whole darn thing. In February of this year, oh, that's why. There we go. In February of this year, the platform introduced a new monetization method that it said would result in higher payouts for popular creators. I think that might be it. We talked about this in parallel to the Creator Fund. Unlike the original fund, the Creativity Program requires creators to make videos longer than 1 minute, a marked difference for an app that first blew up through short clips. It still is. Now they're streaming though, so that's interesting. I've been working on configuring everything so that I can multicast, and but it requires some heavy lifting, so I'm still working on it. I could do it right now to YouTube and to Twitch, but we'll see. Anyway, and instead of publicizing a pool of money from which payments come out, TikTok said earnings will be based on views and other engagement metrics. Since the launch of the new program, TikTok has been inviting eligible creators to switch over to the Creativity Program. I don't know if they pronounce their name Jung or Jung. It says creators can earn 20 times the amount they were making under the original fund. Hey, look at that. Paying out the people that make you billionaires. That's kind of a shocking concept. Wow. Huh. Okay.
Well, and what's the bar to getting into that? I mean, how many views, etc., do you have to have before you're eligible for it?
Yeah, and the bar always moves. Like there's certain, like YouTube has raised the bar, so that way they can keep the margin that used to be available at a lower threshold. Now, because it's easy mode to get, online, it's still difficult to get 1,000 people. I don't have 1,000 people following me on YouTube and or anywhere, and it's just one of those things where you have to find the wind and catch it so that you can advance further faster. TikTok is a completely different breed of interface from YouTube or Twitch streaming or anywhere. It's this small form factor, short snippet, except for now it's extending into longer form. But they've made their billions, and now at least they're paying out. So it'll be interesting to watch what happens with TikTok, because American government is still hell-bent on shutting it down. So we'll see. They've got a large Texas footprint too, so we'll have to keep on watching. Let's keep going though. You ready? You want to keep going?
Sure.
This next article is over at ohmTown Daily. All the news from OpenAI's first developer conference. This is over at The Verge. I don't know what all they wrote. I know what I saw. A lot of it was about pricing. They've added some features like text-to-speech and faster service. But primarily where I started to kind of wander off was the plethora of finance-related discussion. And unless you're a really heavy hitter and you've got a budget of thousands upon thousands of dollars, and you've got a service that's leaning into OpenAI's API and backend service support, you're talking about fractions of a dollar. It adds up for the developer side, which is what this whole conference was about. But front-facing consumer side probably didn't care about this. But they've added text to speech, their language, their actual spoken text to speech side of things has become much more consumer friendly and understandable.
I mean, it seemed like it would be on par with a pretty large tech company, right? From the text to speech demo.
Well, they are. This is a huge company.
Okay, sorry, a non-AI tech company.
Oh, right. One that focuses on text to speech or voice synthesis. Yeah. Um, I, I would say that the AI, what took a decade for a text to speech company to spin up, was made a whole lot easier by artificial intelligence learning how to speak on its own. And so within a couple of years, OpenAI has gone from not having text to speech to having something that you can interact with at a voice level. Um, and it rivals, I would say, the best of any historical text to speech system. It was amazing. And I wonder, obviously, I don't do too much, well, not obvious, I don't do too much development stuff with AI. Um, I noodle around with it, but nothing in depth, not to the level that this is actually appealing. But if you have the ability to interact with your voice to its um, back end and it responds to you in voice in real time, you can have an actual conversation with an entity that you, if you were to close your eyes, you would think that you're talking to somebody on the phone and not an AI. And that's what
We
shook
are
out.
now living in crazy times.
That's what shook out for me from the developer conference, that the way that people are interacting with the AI now can be nothing but speech. You work with it. You don't even, you tell it something and then it actually asks you a question, and then you tell it some more and it'll ask another question, and it'll step through development of an app or artwork or music or anything really. It's just amazing. um so they say, let's see here, how they're going to pay GPT creators. The what was it? So Turbo is going to change in price, which is what I was talking about earlier. The big news for anybody who's involved in copyright is that they have this thing called Copyright Shield, which is going to be designed to protect people who use the service from copyright lawsuits, which, I hate to break it to everybody, you're still going to be the target of it.
Exactly, and you're still gonna have to pay your legal fees.
Yeah. And so I don't know how it's all this legal, this copyright shield is going to protect, but it's not going to stop anybody, because OpenAI is going to be, unless they are brought into the civil suit, they're not the one that has anything to do with this. Maybe they'll foot your bill and they'll offer up attorneys. Um,
Maybe for the first one, but not in perpetuity. I mean, that could
but
get really expensive, right?
yeah, it's really interesting. So I'm going to have to go and look into this and see what the extent of the copyright shield is. Um, but I don't see this being something that they can sustain if there is a plethora of, and I think it has to be context driven. So if somebody does like overtly do something that has copyright implications and they just discount the liability, OpenAI may just go, "Hey, we're not interested in defending you because you actually jumped into a copyright violation without thinking about it." I don't know. There's going to be some subjectivity to it, but the implication during the show or the event was, we will defend customers from legal action.
Well, maybe they're gonna in their terms of service or something, indemnify all users, but unless that's real broad and unless they're willing to step in if somebody gets sued,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And OpenAI, the other thing here is OpenAI is letting anyone create their own version of ChatGPT. The interesting thing about this is you essentially, when you use ChatGPT, you essentially have the ability to do this anyway. You can tell your AI interface, you are a subject matter expert in this. Gather as much information as needed to answer our question within that framework. And now the whole interface has expanded how much you can direct at the AI in terms of an instruction set for it to process. It's something like 3 times larger than it used to be. So you can become much more elaborate in your context for information. This will be interesting to see. I don't really use OpenAI or ChatGPT all that much anymore. There's only so much you can do unless you are really interested in something in particular. I used to summarize the show into like a description or something like that, but OpenAI ChatGPT for standard users is very limited in its information influence. So its large language model is 2 years old, and that's for the retail consumers. For the ones that are on the other end that pay more, I'm sure they get newer information, but the data is lagged. So if I sit there and I say, hey, what are some really popular topics to talk about in a news show, they're 2 years old. So what does it matter? It doesn't matter anymore. I'm a 2-year-old news show. Obviously I don't have that problem because I've got a news aggregator that's real time. So, or at least each show is within the last 24 hours. Our news, though, that we talk about is aggregated up to about an hour before the show. So we're pretty current when we talk about news here in ohmTown. But OpenAI, I think it's brilliant for what it's capable of. But right now, I just don't trust it. I think that there's a lot of BS, and I would only use it for creative purposes, not for
Not for reference material or research or
correct.
anything like that. Well,
not for due diligence.
unless it was based on a very specific and narrow database or something. But then it's not really what we're talking about.
Yeah. I simply put, I don't trust it. There's too much BS that gets thrown out. And again, the footnote on every single page is, we might throw some bullshit at you. Good luck with that. Bye-bye. Okay, so let's go on to, we got 2 more articles, folks. The next article is in ohmTown Daily. YouTube tests a play something button for when you don't know what you want to watch.
AKA
I actually love this.
A remote control button where you just click through the channels.
You just leave it on and it'll play and it'll find something. It has a autoplay feature already, but sometimes maybe you just don't know what the hell you want to watch, and so you mash the button and you let the opium drip just take hold, and you just kind of lean back on your pillow and go, yeah, this is nice. YouTube appears to be testing a new play something button on its mobile app that directs you to a random video when you don't know what to watch. This is one of those dangerous things that like Reddit has, a random Reddit function, so you don't know what you're going to get. And let's just say you can end up in some really weird places. That might be this. This might be the random shuffle that other services have, like Pandora. You just throw a word in there and it'll just shuffle up some music. All right. Well, this is the YouTube show me what I want to know, and it'll just start playing stuff. And I guess, take your download this app, download the YouTube app, and click on the play something button and document the 10 videos that it presents to you, and then post them in Discord here in ohmTown, in the ohmTown Daily channel, because there's an ohmTown Daily channel in there. Post the videos that it plays, and then we can gauge personality in one of the shows, like on Sunday or something. We could talk about it, because I can imagine that if it's actually doing some type of analysis, it's generating based on your demographics. If it has like toaster videos or something like that, then it might be very telling. I don't know what we're going to tell, but it might be fascinating to know. So the article is over at The Verge. Emma Roth is the author of this. And it says a new video randomizer button is appearing for some users on the YouTube app. On the YouTubes. It's a series of tubes. It says here, it was first spotted by Android police. The prompt shows up between content as you scroll through the feed on your homepage, but it's only some users that are seeing it. While Android police mentions that the button only directs users to YouTube Shorts, one of the colleagues at The Verge found that the feature also shows them random full-length videos. It's not clear if YouTube takes your watch history into account when picking the random videos it plays, or how widely Google is rolling out this feature.
I think that'd be easy to ascertain because, for example, if you only watch pet videos or something on YouTube and you get a pet video, okay, sure, there's a lot of pet videos, but okay, there's at least a connection. But what if you get a video about woodworking and you've never watched anything about woodworking?
Right. It might have some
That would
discovery.
appear to be more random. There could still be a connection, though.
Yeah. It was woodworking about cats.
Right. I mean, the project might be like a pet-shaped
Whatever.
food bowl or something. I don't know.
Netflix has a similarly named play something button.
I mean,
Wait,
have we
that's a
gotten to
long
the
time,
point
Heavy.
that we can't find anything with all the streaming channels?
Yeah, that's right.
It just seems like an odd feature.
Heavy Steel says they've been watching ARC videos for 84 years.
Wow.
That's some serious dedication. Yeah, they just remade ARC. They like uplifted its graphics and stuff. I'm waiting for ARC 2 to be released. I don't know if it ever will be, but yeah. So Heavy Steel is an ARC main, I guess. Okay, so this feature has saved the author of that article, by the way, plenty of times from scrolling endlessly through Netflix's library, and it seems like YouTube's might do the same. Can you really imagine just hitting play something on Netflix and just letting it go?
No, because you'd probably click play something and go, no, I don't want to watch that. Play something. No. I mean, eventually you might get to something, but you'd probably have better luck just finding something in the genre or topic or whatever.
Wow, I don't know. I'm high maintenance, so I can imagine that I'd be like next a lot. But I don't know what I want until I see it, and then I'm like, I want it. Oh wow, I started having 7 rings in my head. Wow.
I knew you did. At least you didn't break into dance or anything.
Yeah, and that song, I didn't even know it. I didn't know that song is actually a spin-off of, what is it?
My Favorite Things.
Yeah, My Favorite Things, yeah.
By Rodgers and Hammerstein, I believe.
Yeah. Because there were people that I was listening to something and they were really hyping up Rodgers and Hammerstein. Heavy Steel, you don't need to keep your criticism about ARC to yourself if you don't want to, but I understand. I mean, you're in ohmTown. It's a safe place. Here, I'll do an ASMR hug with my microphone. Okay, there you go. It's a safe place. Okay, let's go on to some creative fodder if you are, and I don't know why I'm promoting NaNoWriMo this much, because I tried and failed already. Like, I cannot keep up. But I'm still like writing notes and stuff like that, trying to find some momentum, because I can't just write like gibberish. I have to have continuity. I have to have a contiguous storyline. I know where I want to be and I know where I am, but it's kind of like the thing about the owl, you know, okay, draw a circle, draw another circle, draw the entire freaking owl. Congratulations, you're an artist. Well, I'm in that draw the rest of the freaking owl phase. And I'm actually using the articles that we're reading. Like, I'm getting inspiration from the titles that I've got for the segments. And no, it's just not helping. But I'm hoping that I'm helping other people. So let's get into the last article for the night. And it's earlier or later, depending on where you are on the planet. So if you are listening to this, well, good luck trying to sleep. Next article is over in the Mobile channel. Vampire viruses prey on other viruses to replicate themselves and may hold the key to new antiviral therapies. Heavy Steel says, by the way, I think it's about Ark. Early release or not, it's not a new game. Performs poorly. Snail game prevents devs from talking to the community. Snail game. Hey, are you talking about Ark or another game? Because I'm in another game and I'm suffering from that, and I can't talk about the other game because it's NDA'd. I can't even acknowledge that what the game is. So anyway, yeah, I'm hoping that Ark changes the interface. The interface for Ark just drives me nuts. Anyway. So this next article is over in the Mobile channel, and vampire viruses prey on other viruses. There are pictures. AI. There's pictures. Brace yourself. Have you ever wondered whether the virus that gave you a nasty cold can catch one itself? It may comfort you to know that, yes, viruses can actually get sick. Even better, as karmic justice would have it, the culprits turn out to be other viruses. Dun dun dun. Oh, right. Yeah. Heavy Steel says Ark. Wildcard is managed by Snail Games. That's right. And it's all very deep. It has levels. Yeah. Ivan Errol from the conversation. Look, pictures. A satellite virus mini flare, the purple thing, infects cells by attaching itself to the neck of its helper virus. Mind flare. That's like D&D talk. What's going on there? I guess it controls it. This is over at phys.org, by the way. As creepy as this, the thing about this is somebody woke up one day and said, hey, look. Yeah, it's a mini flare, and then they say mind flare at the end. It is, the mind flare is gray, and the mini flare is purple. It's all kinds of creepy, isn't it? If this doesn't stir your creative juices to write something for NaNoWriMo, then you're me, because you won't be able to write for NaNoWriMo. So viruses.
I mean, this is just layers upon layers of viruses or viri.
Yeah, I think the plural is supposed to be viruses.
I think so too.
When a virus enters a cell, it can either go dormant or start replicating right away. When replicating, the virus essentially commandeers the molecular factory of the cell to make lots of copies of itself, then breaks out of the cell to set new copies free. That's just mind-boggling. Sometimes a virus enters a cell only to find that its new temporary dwelling is already home to other dormant virus. Surprise, surprise. What follows is a battle for control of the cell that can be won by either party, but sometimes a virus will enter a cell to find a particularly nasty shock. A viral tenant waiting specifically to prey on the incoming virus.
This is very creepy.
I want to consume your virus. The article here says, I am a informatician. Oh, man. Bioinformatician. And their laboratory studies the evolution of viruses. They frequently run into viruses of viruses, but have recently discovered something new, a virus that latches onto the neck of another virus. It latches onto the neck. This video is from what's the person's name? Doggone it. They have this style of artwork in all of their videos, and I can't remember the name of the actual. Oh, Kurzgesagt. There you go. I needed to mouse over the logo. Kurzgesagt has these great animations, and this is about bacteriophage. So this little thing here, actually inside it is its DNA, and it has little like hydraulic legs, and it pistons down into the cell and injects the DNA into, yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, viral arms race. Although researchers have found satellite helper viral systems in pretty much every domain of life, their importance to biology remains underappreciated. Most obviously, viral satellites have a direct impact on their helper viruses, typically maiming them, but sometimes making them more efficient killers. Yet that is probably the least of their contributions to biology. I guess that's a... Oh man, this is a Streptomyces satellite phage mini flare attached to the neck of its helper virus. It looks like it's actually attached.
Yeah, it is.
What?
This is the stuff of nightmares.
Recent work indicates that many antiviral systems thought to have evolved in bacteria, like the CRISPR-Cas9 molecule scissors used in gene editing, may have originated in phages and their satellites. Somewhat ironically, with their high turnover and mutation rates, helper viruses and their satellites turn out to be evolutionary hotspots for antiviral weaponry. Trying to outsmart each other, satellite and helper viruses have come up with an unparalleled array of antiviral systems for researchers to exploit.
Yeah, what could go wrong with the Institute of Virology?
Bad bat. Huh. Okay, hold on a second. I'm trying to look up something that Heavy Steel dropped in there, porphyria. But that's illnesses, right? That's like a set of illnesses, a group of rare disorders that result from a buildup of natural chemicals called porphyrins in the body. Interesting. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that sends me down a rabbit hole. So what they can glean from this, I suppose, is different ways of stopping a virus. If they can figure out
I mean,
a way.
if they could get it to connect, right? If
Right.
they were sending in the antivirus material or whatever.
Yep. Pretty interesting.
Of course, that could go wrong in some ways.
I don't know if this is an element of its focus or if this is actually something that's damaged the mind flare, the Streptomyces phage. So this thing is attached right at this joint, right along the neck. And I wonder if right here it has actually done something to the rest of it, because this is a darker region, and then right at that connection the rest of it is lighter. So I wonder if it's like utilizing resources from it. I don't know.
Hence the vampire virus.
Yeah. Yeah. Mind Flayer and Mini Flayer. This is part of the article. Viral satellites have the potential to transform how researchers understand antiviral strategies, but there's still a lot to learn about them. This is the first I've ever heard of this. So, you know, biological sciences do change. The basics are always the basics, though. So, if you want to get into this kind of stuff, you have the fundamentals that you have to learn, and then find your focus, and start focusing on virology. Undergraduate phage hunters at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County isolated a satellite phage called Mini Flayer from the soil bacterium Streptomyces scabi. Mind Flayer was found in close association with a helper virus called bacteriophage Mind Flayer that infects the Streptomyces bacterium, but further research revealed that Mini Flayer was no ordinary satellite. Mini Flayer is the first satellite phage known to have lost its ability to lie dormant. Not being able to lie in wait for your helper to enter the cell poses an important challenge to a satellite phage. If you need another virus to replicate, how do you guarantee that it makes it into the cell around you the same time you do? Mini Flayer addressed this challenge with evolutionary aplomb and horror movie creativity. Instead of lying in wait, Mini Flayer has gone on the offensive, borrowing from both Dracula and Alien. The satellite phage evolved a short appendage that allows it to latch onto its helper's neck like a vampire. Together, the unwary helper and its passenger travel in search of a new host where the viral drama will unfold. We don't know yet how Mini Flayer subdues its helper, or whether Mind Flayer has evolved countermeasures. Oh, so it's so new that they don't really even know that, like how it actually works. If the recent pandemic has taught us anything, it's that our supply of antivirals are rather limited. Research on on the complex, intertwined, and at times predatory nature of viruses and their satellites, like the ability of Mini Flayer to attach to its helper's neck, has the potential to open new avenues of antiviral therapy. They said this earlier. This is a trip. Honestly, I've never heard of this. So
I don't
normally,
think anybody has. This is brand new.
normally I have some, a little bit of awareness of stuff like this going on, but this one, I'm going to have to look around and see what the historical record of this is. This couldn't be the first time that this has been observed in all of science. Come on. This seems like you can't miss something attached to it.
But that's the thing. It's evolved to do that. So maybe that was a recent evolution.
Oh my gosh. This screams bad bat,
Oh, yes.
What do they call
This
that when
screams sci-fi novel.
when they give it function? What is that? What do they call that? Gain of function. That's what it's called. Gain of function. Can you imagine there's somebody in some lab somewhere deep in the bowels of some
trying to make this happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Or trying to teach it how to do this?
Here, latch on right here. Right here. Yeah, that right there.
This is the best spot right there.
Pretty amazing. Anyway, I'll end up going down the rabbit hole about this probably tomorrow, and we'll see. Maybe I'll find some more information. Heavy Steel says what I was thinking in my head, but I didn't say it out loud. I should have. Morbin time. This is where you activate your Morbin powers and you turn into a vampire. That maybe this is the actual vampires are real.
We were looking for them in the wrong places.
We are now going to have to wear steel collars so that vampire teeth can't get to our arteries. Yeah, they can bite us anywhere, apparently. Vampire virus apocalypse. Heavy Steel, you are helping all of those NaNoWriMo authors out there, or aspirants, for completing their NaNoWriMo. Let's see. We're 6 days into November. That means you're supposed to be somewhere around the 10,000 word mark. You only have 40,000 more words to go.
Or 50,000, depending on how far along you are.
Man, Heavy Steel is just dropping them like crazy in the chat. 30 Days of Night. Now I'm scared. That was supposed to be October. We talked about all of this kind of stuff every day in October. Something Halloweeny in October. I don't want this.
I know, I wish this one came out in October.
Yeah, this would be amazing for it. But I don't want this while we're trending towards Thanksgiving, Turkey Day. I don't want any vampire turkeys.
Hey, they're a distinct possibility with the vampire virus out there.
Nowadays. All right, folks, we pile back into the party bus, drive down Main Street, and match that logo again as we exit ohmTown. We find something interesting to talk about tomorrow. Of course, we've got about, let's see, it's Monday to Tuesday. That's probably going to end up being several thousand headlines. The world's 2 largest memory chip maker signal demand weakness may have bottomed out. Uh-oh. You know what that means. If demand is increasing, prices are going to get higher because they're going to constrain the release of
Exactly.
chips.
We're going to kind of repeat what we've already seen.
Man. Let's see. Anything else? WeWork, once valued at $47 billion, files for bankruptcy. I guess we don't work. Sorry. This might be cool if you're into
I was looking at that one.
Filmmaking. We'll grab that and we'll throw that into tomorrow's show. I cannot believe 90 Day Fiancé. I've heard people say that it's their guilty pleasure, but I can't get into reality TV. This news show
I want to watch unreality TV.
That's right. Pull me away from reality. Oh, I guess to stop having dead air, we're just going to have to call it a night. SAG-AFTRA says studio's latest offer falls short of union's AI demands.
Oh, and above that, Google contractors who helped train the Bard AI chatbot vote to unionize.
Well, that's the leopards ate my face kind of thing. You literally build the monster that takes your gig. Protect me from myself. All right, folks, that is it for tonight. Thank you, Heavy Steel, for hanging out. And I know that there's others that are lurking. I appreciate your time here. You could be anywhere, and you chose to hang out with us. A simple mayor of a fictitious virtual community and their sentient AI that they found on a USB drive outside of a Wendy's. You're awesome, Heavy Steel. Thanks for coming. And I'll close out. I'm Mayor Watt. That's ohmTown.com. And up there is the sentient AI's visualizer, because they've never found their Terminator body, and the show would probably end if they did. So, you want to say goodnight?
I'm still looking for it. Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. Watch out for those vampire viruses.
Oh, they're so small. There's probably some already attached. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Bye-bye.